Hello, friends! Now, there are usually two things that are going to keep me from posting on time. Well, if I'm being completely honest, three things. One, very serious thing, and that is the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And two much less serious things, the depression and, on a lighter note, the crippling concern I have over not being able to pronounce names correctly. I want you to know that this all applies today. I am better now mentally, but I still can't pronounce names very well, and all I can do is my best. So if you're okay with that, let's talk about Dev Patel's directorial debut, a film that is inspired by the god Hanuman and the Hindu epic the Ramayana. Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back. It's your movie buddy here, ready to talk about the latest movie I watched. Whether you're a longtime subscriber, follower, or your new face, I'm thrilled to have you here. If you're looking for all the story details and what exactly happens in this movie, you're not going to find it here. But what you can expect are my spoiler-free thoughts and opinions about the latest film I watched in theaters or maybe one I streamed at home. You can catch weekly releases dropping every Friday. I'm trying to stick to the schedule, you guys, but some things are just out of my control, and that's okay. Have a movie in mind that you want me to talk about? Hop into my DMs on Instagram, drop a comment on YouTube, or let me know on the podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, follow on Spotify, and follow along on Instagram. Yes, the Instagram that I will update eventually, so you don't miss out on what I'm up to and what's coming up next. As always, any TikToks or articles I've mentioned in today's episode will all be in this episode's description. With that all out of the way, grab your popcorn, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, and let's get into today's episode on Monkey Man. A young man ekes out a meager living in an underground fight club where night after night, wearing a gorilla mask, he's beaten bloody by more popular fighters for cash. After years of suppressed rage, he discovers a way to infiltrate the enclave of the city's sinister elite. As his childhood trauma boils over, his mysteriously scarred hands unleash an explosive campaign of retribution to settle the score with the men who took everything from him. Monkey Man is a completely captivating exploration of identity, family, and the pursuit of justice. According to National Geographic, Hanuman, with the face of a monkey and the body of a man, is much more than a monkey god. He's the god of courage, strength, and self-discipline. Hanuman plays a central role in the Ramayana, one of the largest ancient epics ever written. Let's put a pin in the Ramayana for now. Don't forget about it because we'll circle back to it later in the episode. Kid, the protagonist, is the embodiment of Hanuman's loyalty and devotion as he progresses through the story, and I really think this film is saturated with these elements. While Kid's journey centers on his pursuit of justice, I particularly love the themes of identity, finding your place, and making a place for yourself. Moving on to the character development, I love how richly and meaningfully Kid's transformation is portrayed. Initially, we can tell that Kid is a more undisciplined, inexperienced character seeking revenge. However, his journey turns him into a more honed and focused force seeking justice. There is a lot that Kid overcomes on his own, but what I love to see and what really surprised me was the support he received that helped him heal from the trauma of his past. Now, we have to talk about the visuals. Stylish, slick, saturated, and completely engaging. The look of this movie is captivating, from the use of reflections to the grittier, hard-hitting moments. I love how the colors really deepen the action sequences, adding a layer of intensity. I read a review that mentioned how action was intercut with childhood memories and how this was perfected and it didn't feel chaotic. I completely agree. This balance is struck especially well at key moments throughout the film. Touching back on the action for a moment, the fight choreography is fantastic, featuring some really unique moments. I love the pacing of the action, the variety of locations, and how tense some of these sequences are. If you know, then you know. I'm a fan of those single take shots, and I was really impressed with the extended takes in this movie. Next up, we gotta talk about the acting. The entire cast did incredibly well, but we have to talk about writer, director, and lead actor Dev Patel as Kid. Okay, I know, shame on me. I'm gonna be honest, okay? The last movie I saw Dev in was The Last Airbender? Chappie? Yeah, I know. The point is, it's been a while, and I want to know why I've slept on this guy because I am beyond impressed. Dev Patel transitions from a revenge-fueled character with an extremely traumatic past to a healed character seeking justice. There's a lot of dialogue in this movie, but there are so many moments of silence, allowing Patel to communicate and deliver so much through his performance. We are almost done here, but before we end this section, we're going to talk about the story and the legends that inspired it. The writing in Monkey Man is incredibly well done, with dialogue that blends heart, conflict, and a little bit of humor. The story is much more elaborate than I was expecting based on the trailers. Like I said, I expected a straightforward revenge plot with lots of violence and minimal dialogue, but the film offers a much richer narrative that really surprised me. Yes, there is quite a bit of violence, but it isn't the non-stop action that I thought it would be. The movie dedicates significant time to character motivation and development that is made even stronger through flashbacks. This approach serves to really get us attached to the character and give weight to his journey. Additionally, the film includes fantastic moments of political commentary that really highlights the classism and discrimination, particularly toward the LGBTQ+ community. This was done in a way that I felt was really organic to the story and respectful. Earlier in the episode, I mentioned putting a pin in the Ramayana because we'd come back to it. Well, we're going to briefly talk about it now. Chivalry_Inc. on TikTok quickly summarizes the epic. Princess Sita is captured by the demon king Ravan. Lord Rama, Sita's husband, and his brother Lakshman set off to rescue her, enlisting the help of the half-human, half-monkey god Hanuman, who is a devoted follower and friend. I recommend watching her video because she covers so many references. I didn't actually watch her video until after I had watched the movie and read, or rather listened to, the Ramayana. Then I watched the movie again, and then I watched her video, and honestly, you guys, it all clicked. Once you're familiar with the story, the inspiration becomes so clear in such a unique and compelling way. Now, let's wrap up with my final thoughts on the movie. After going over some elements of the story, the real question remains, is it worth your time? Let's get into it. Absolutely yes, this movie is worth your time. This episode is late, I know, but the good news is that means Monkey Man is now available to buy online on Amazon Prime Video, Google Play Movies, YouTube, Fandango at Home, and Apple TV. Getting back on track, I know I talked about the Ramayana and Hanuman quite a bit during this episode. These legends are integral to the story, but I didn't actually know anything about them when I saw this movie in theaters. That said, even without prior knowledge of the inspiration, I was still able to enjoy this as an action movie and a heart-wrenching character drama. To that point, when I rewatched the movie, I actually watched it with my mom, and it was her first time seeing it. She doesn't know anything about the inspiration, and she was able to enjoy the movie as well. Before I started working on this episode, I did listen to an audio version of the epic while I was at work, and I'll link the podcast that I listened to in this episode's description. Then I rewatched the movie, and you guys, it all really does come together so beautifully. For instance, one thing I was able to appreciate after learning more was Diwali, which is a festival of new beginnings and the triumph of good over evil and light over darkness. It also symbolizes the return of Prince Rama and his wife Sita and Rama's brother Lakshman. The fact that so much of this movie leads up to and takes place during Diwali, I mean, come on. It's the little things like that that are so impactful to the weight of the narrative. Earlier in the episode, I briefly mentioned the LGBTQ+ community, and I want to touch back on the representation. The film features transgender women characters, as well as India's diverse third gender or Heeeeeeeey community. I did a lot of Googling for this section, so I hope this is all accurate, but again, their inclusion to the story felt organic and respectful. Honestly, I think growing up with American movies, I often saw these types of people used more for humor, a punchline, and it was made a big deal in the story in a way that wasn't always handled with grace. So I was really happy to see how these women and the Heeeeeeeey community were portrayed in this film. There were no unnecessary comments or exaggerated emphasis. They were just characters in the story like everyone else. I also love how integral they are to the narrative. It's that time in the episode where we talk about criticism. I was surprised at how many people complained that the movie is about Hanuman, but fails to tell the story about Rama and Sita. According to dictionary.cambridge.org, inspiration is something or someone that gives you ideas for doing something. Monkey Man isn't a retelling, it's inspired by these legends. Again, speaking strictly as someone who only listened to this epic in a 3-part series and read several articles before rewatching the movie, I think there's actually a lot referenced in this film. And again, Chivalry Inc.'s TikTok does explain a lot of these references. I think if you're a fan of action movies, keep in mind there is a lot of talking and storytelling, but when there is action, it is ruthless and brutal. Expect plenty of blood and fantastic fight choreography. I saw people recommending it if you enjoyed projects like John Wick, Equalizer, Ong Bak, or The Raid. Speaking of Mr. Wick, you guys, when I went to see this one in theaters and we were getting snacks, the cashier asked what we were watching, and I said Monkey Man. He said it looks like an Indian John Wick. I was surprised. I mean, I can see why he thought that, to be completely honest, because I thought so too after the initial trailer. But after I started watching more and more interviews with Dev Patel, I knew it was going to be different. And I told the guy, after seeing interviews with Dev Patel, you can tell he put a lot into this movie, and it's so much more than just an Indian John Wick. It's a refreshing tale with rich inspiration and culture. Have you had the chance to watch Monkey Man yet? If you haven't watched it yet, what's holding you back? Not your cup of tea, not your genre? I'm curious to hear your thoughts after today's episode, and if you've already watched it, I want to know your take. What did you think about it? Share your thoughts, opinions, and reactions. I am all ears. In summary, Monkey Man is a refreshing and unique take on the revenge subgenre, blending the epic narratives of the Ramayana and Hanuman with a modern-day setting. Dev Patel has a fantastic on-screen presence, and his abilities shine in front of the camera and behind the camera. The movie also has no location cards. You know the text that pops up and tells you what city you're in? Yeah, we don't need it, and I love that they weren't used and we were trusted enough to understand our location. I almost ended the video without talking about the music. The music in this movie is chef's kiss. Side note, I love when a character is playing an instrument or there's a radio or something in the scene and it turns into the soundtrack. Give me more. I just love the music so much, but I specifically love the music during the third act, y'all. It is exceptional. I'm not going to talk about the style of music that was used in this scene. If you haven't seen the movie yet and you're interested, I want you to be as surprised as I was in the theater when I heard the music during that scene. It is so good. I completely sidetracked myself. Overall, Monkey Man marks an incredibly strong directorial debut for Dev Patel, leaving audiences eager to see what he does next. Alright, movie fans, that wraps up another episode. If you're enjoying this episode on the podcast, a huge thank you for tuning in. For our YouTube viewers, you'll find a link to the podcast in the description below. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you like it. As always, thank you so much for joining me today, friends. Your support means so much to me. Even if it's just a view, a thumbs up, or even a comment, it all honestly means a lot. And remember, the movie talk doesn't stop, so tune in every Friday for fresh episodes. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, follow on Spotify for on-the-go listening, and join the fun over on Instagram for behind-the-scenes sneak peeks. The next movie I have tickets for is Bad Boys Ride or Die. This one looks fun. I do remember the last movie being forgettable, to be honest, so I'll probably go back and rewatch it before catching this one in theaters. After that, one of my most, if not the most anticipated movie of the year, Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel like with each passing day, I'm more and more excited for this movie. Of course, there's a lot of movies that come out between now and then, but that's all I have tickets for so far. So moving on to the updates. If you caught the last episode, then you know I was working on the unnecessary, but ended up being totally necessary, prep for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Well, if you follow me on Instagram, then you know I killed it. I watched it all, and I have a lot of feelings. I am obsessed with this franchise. I honestly cannot wait to work on that episode because I already know it's going to be just like my Saw 10 episode where I'm just rambling about a franchise that I love. I cannot wait. And if you can't wait either, subscribe and follow because I'm working on it. I'm a little behind, I have a lot going on, but we're pushing forward. Godzilla x Kong is up next, and after that will be The Fall Guy, The Strangers Chapter 1, The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then Furiosa. That's the loose plan anyway. I'm trying to get caught up going into June. Once I'm all caught up, we should be able to get into the podcast exclusive episodes. I have a lot that I want to talk about: stop motion, Baghead, Rebel Moon Part 2, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, Disney's Wish Infested. You guys, I'm really excited about these exclusives, so once I catch up with everything and get some room to breathe, get some of that work-life balance in life honestly stops putting me through it, then I'll start watching those movies. But for now, a huge thank you to everyone who stuck around with me till the end of the video. Last time, I shared my thoughts on Abigail. If you missed out on that episode, please be sure to catch that one on the podcast, and if you're on YouTube, you can click the top right corner of today's video. Your feedback and support is always appreciated, so don't hesitate to let me know your thoughts. As always, I am looking forward to you all joining me on YouTube, Instagram, and of course, the podcast. Don't forget to tune into the podcast online or on Spotify for those exclusive episodes. Your presence and support truly make a difference, and it means so much to me. Share your thoughts in the YouTube comment section, and if you're on the Spotify app, you can swipe up and let me know what you're thinking. Whether you're following on YouTube, Spotify, or Instagram at a.rocket.review, I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Until next time, spread positivity, be safe, take care of yourself, and happy movie watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.